We're going to talk about units of length. Now we're going to talk about inches and feet. And again, the main difference between inches and feet is that inches are smaller, therefore you have to use more of them. So for big things, you want to use feet. For little things, you want to use inches. Which unit would probably be best to measure how long a banana is? Well, again, and as I'm going to say a million times, a banana could be a foot long, and you would say it's a foot long, but you are more likely going to use inches instead of feet to describe a banana more often. Which is the closest to how long a whale is? Well, it doesn't specify what kind of whale, which is kind of unfortunate because there are whales that are teeny tiny, but I assume that in this particular case, they're talking about like the kind of whale that you think about when you think about whales, a blue whale, a hunchback, that kind of whale. And those kind of whales definitely are more like 30 feet than 30 inches, at least, as adults. Which unit would probably be used to measure how long a school bus is? Now again, we could use either. I know I've said that a million times, but I want to really get it sunk in that you can use either, but it's all a matter of choosing the one that's most convenient and easiest to communicate. Math is about communication. It's not enough to have a correct answer, you need to have an understandable answer. If I say that a school bus is 570 inches long, most people aren't going to have a clue how long that is. And by the way, don't actually check that because it's definitely not 570 inches. That was just a number I came up with off the top of my head. So we're going to use feet to measure how long a school bus is. And then a marker, like, a pen, is more like 6 inches than it is like 6 feet. I am just over 6 feet tall, so a marker that was my size would be a 6-foot marker. And that's inches and feet. So now we're going to check out measuring lengths, and we're going to use inches, feet, as well as centimeters and meters. And then there will be a practice set, it looks like, where we're going to have to sort of switch back and forth between the two. So let's start with inches and feet. Let's go. What is the width of this basketball? So this is a really cool sort of demonstration, though again, I strongly recommend having students like measure things in the real world as opposed to looking at a presented ball and ruler scenario like we've got here. Get them measuring things on their own. But in this case, because the ball is the ball starts at the 0-inch line and ends at roughly the 7-inch line, we're going to say that it is 7 inches. Now, if we look really, really, really close, I could see an argument that it doesn't quite get to that line, but I don't think that's the point of the problem. I think it's 7 inches. Yeah, that's what I thought. Which pencil measures 8 inches? So again, just getting a feel for using the ruler to find measurement or lengths. And this is the same thing we were doing before, except before we were using boxes, right? It was which pencil is 8 boxes long as opposed to 8 inches. Now we are just introducing the idea of common units that we all use, at least Americans. It's the red one, A. What is the height of the bookcase? Well, yeah, that's feet, so that looks like 8 feet. And again, this also reminds me an awful lot of the bar graphs we were doing. I mean, doesn't it? We're looking at the top of the bookshelf, we're lining it up with the 8, just like we did to find out the heights of bar graphs. So again, there's a lot of interwoven ideas here. So, make sure to point them out when you see them. That's 8 feet tall. Kids are really good, especially at making these kinds of connections. at making connections that you might not even have considered yourself. And instead of saying, no, that's wrong, you should explore the ideas with them and find out which ideas are valid and which ideas are not valid. That's what math and education are all about. Be curious. Don't just shut someone down because their idea is not the same idea that you had. This tennis ball is 2 inches wide. And that is measuring lengths in inches and feet. Now we're going to do the same thing with centimeters and meters, but I bet it's going to be really easy.